Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to another Football Manager experiment. So this is going to be somewhat of a two-parter, but the first part is going to take place now, and the second part is going to take place as soon as Football Manager 21 comes out. So what I've done is, with an updated database, so all the transfers, all the promotions and relegations and stuff have happened, I'm going to predict, I'm not going to predict, the game is going to predict who wins the Premier League this year with last year's players, but all in their right clubs and promoted and stuff like this. Now, I've done it 10 times, so I've ran the process 10 times just so we can get a better average if there's any fluke season or, like, you know, if Man City have any freak injuries or whatever. I want it to be sort of, you know, relatively scientific. I'm not doing it 100 times like I did once before, because that's a nightmare. But also at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the top goal scorers, the top like 30 goal scorers on average in those 10 seasons, and the assist makers, and then we're going to have a look. So then we're going to do it as soon as FM21 comes out. We're going to do the same thing, because the players and the teams will be the same. They're going to be in the same positions, but what we won't have taken into account with this one is any updates to players. Say, for instance, let's just say, I imagine in FM21, Mesut Ozil might be downgraded somewhat. Some of the younger players might be improved. Maybe some of the players on the promoted teams will have been improved. So what I want to see is the differences between then and now. But I think this is also a good experiment. So if you want to pause the video and write down who you think is going to finish where, as according to FM, then you are more than welcome to. But without further ado, let's get straight into it, and I'll pop them up here. Okay, 3 teams that are going to go down this year, according to Football Manager, are West Brom, shock, Crystal Palace, and Sheffield United. Now, West Brom, I don't think any of these are massive surprises. I think Sheffield United, they had a very good season last season. And I imagine in FM21 a few of their players will get upgraded because of that. That's why I'm really interested to see when we do the second part. And when I do the second video, I'll sort of compare it closely and stuff. But I actually predicted them to go down this season in real life. Because second season is always a bit tough. You've not got the elation of the Premier League. And Football Manager agrees, apparently. And Crystal Palace, it's not surprising. I also made sure that there was no transfers in the first window because all the transfer business is done and everything. So I don't think it's that surprising. I think you could maybe replace a few of theirs, like Fulham, you know, is not there. Maybe Brighton, maybe Aston Villa. But, you know, they're doing all right in real life. But we'd thought, ignore real life because that's just crazy. You know, Football Manager can't predict like that sort of random shit that's happening. Okay, so let's look at the rest of the top. Also, how low the points are. There is a lot of teams below the magical 40 points to stay up barrier. But let's see the rest of the top 10. So we have Leeds, West Ham, Brighton, Villa, Southampton, Wolves, and Fulham in 11th. As you can see by the points, it's all incredibly close. And to be honest, over the course of the 10 seasons, as you'll see, it's just kind of lucky dip, basically, as to where they finish. It's just almost like randomness because they're all so close in Football Manager terms. Leeds have got to stay up. Brighton obviously improved with the likes of Lallana. Villa, very good transfers. And, you know, Football Manager says they will improve, but obviously for Aston Villa in real life are going to win the league this season. Fulham, massive surprise. Because normally with the promoted teams, you think they're probably going to underperform a little bit. I know they made some signings, but because they're players who usually get a bit of a bump, you know, when they get promoted. So FM21, I expected them to do slightly better, but I think Fulham fans will take 11th. Right, next, just finishing outside Europe. Hang on, my computer's freaking out. Okay, we have Newcastle, top half. I think the addition of, especially of Callum Wilson, is probably a big one for them. I'll show you the goal scorers at the end. But he scores goals for them, just a finisher. Leicester, kind of where you'd expect them to be, maybe a little bit low on points. Burnley, just doing bits. There's a theme in my experiments, and a certain name that pops up a lot in my experiments, and his name is Chris Wood. And you'll see... You'll see why. But that's probably why they've got to exactly averaging 50 points a season. You can see that last season they did terribly. But, you know, all the other seasons they did pretty well. Then we have Everton. Obviously, the likes of James Rodriguez has really improved them, but they're just finishing 6th on not that really high points. There is a massive gap between the top 6 and 7th. It's like over 16 points gap on average over the course of 10 seasons. So let's have a look. In 6th place is Manchester United. I was surprised because I always feel, and it may be just my Liverpool fan bias, I always feel Man United for the last few seasons a little bit overpowered. But maybe their lack of, important players in certain positions, the game has realised, and they've averaging 73.9 points, and Arsenal just ahead on 74 points. Arsenal kind of about where you'd expected, decent points tally. I don't think anything's a massive surprise. The 5th and 6th and 4th are very close, and in 4th place is Tottenham with 76.8, and then we go to Chelsea with 81.9. So Tottenham very close to just ahead of the likes of Arsenal, Man United. I think if you were doing an argument as to who would win guess your league table, they'd all be close or there or thereabouts. I think everybody, that's the argument for top 4 before the season started, would be, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea. But obviously Football Manager, in terms of Football Manager, with the signings they've made, they're very good. Timo Werner and Ziyech and Kai Havertz, they basically cheated. They have then improved quite a bit. Not enough to get into the top 2, but it's quite a gap, as in real life, to the top 2. So the final 2 spots go to Manchester City and Liverpool, but which order are they? Sadly, it's Man City that win the league on an average of 90 points, with Liverpool 87. So a good lead over Chelsea. I actually think it's pretty realistic. Like, taking my Liverpool hat off, I'm wearing a Grêmio hat, ironically, taking my invisible Liverpool hat off and rose-tinted glasses, it's probably about right, I would say, for the squad that's in Football Manager. I think Man City have got a little bit of an extra squad. Like, it's going to be interesting because I imagine Aguero will be downgraded. He's at least going to be made more injury-prone in the next version of FM. So, maybe there's hope for Liverpool yet, because a lot of their players are just coming into their prime. But there is the league table. You can pause if you want to have a more detailed look. Tottenham did win the league once, so that's good. Liverpool won it 4 times, 5 times for Man City. They were just overall, just averagely, just better. And yeah, what's the lowest points total? Is that 20? Oh no, 20. Oh no, 17 points is definitely the lowest in a season. With still a few wins, it's not terrible. I think that's a pretty good guess. If somebody said, I predicted the Premier League this year, mate. Here we go. Before the season started, obviously. I don't think anything stands out too much. Sheffield United might be a bit of a shout. But then I did also say that I think they're going to go down. Fulham's probably the biggest surprise. But it is very close. Right, before we finish up, let's have a little look at the top goal scorers. Top 30 goal scorers in our Premier League season. And a certain Argentinian legend finishes top on an average of 20.8 goals a season over the course of 10 years. That is pretty damn amazing. He was top scorer 7 times. He got 27 goals, 26 goals in a season. Absolutely beastly. But again, he's going to be downgraded in the next one, I think, in FM21. So that'll be very interesting. Lacazette, much maligned in real life, but he seems to be, he's way ahead of Aubameyang. He averages 6 goals a season more than Aubameyang. Whether it's because Aubameyang plays wide or they play Lacazette up top, it's hard to tell, but that is still quite amazing. And the Burnley legend that is Chris Wood, whenever we do these, comments. Anybody in the comments, has anyone actually managed Chris Wood, bought them or managed as Burnley? Does he do bits for everyone, or is this just a weird AI thing? Because he's just spectacular. Harry Kane's in there, Bernardo Silva there, Mo Salah and Sadio Mane, almost identical goal-scoring stats. Timo Werner's there for the Chelsea, getting him to 3rd. Raheem Sterling's done all right. Cavani, he's going to be another one that's going to be downgraded, surely. 13.4. Danny Ings, who's probably going to get upgraded. And there's Newcastle's Callum Wilson, averaging 11.6. Richarlison's there. Neil Maupay for Brighton had an outstanding season in this one, 20 goals, but still a good average. Dele Alli's there. Bobby Firmino, he probably doesn't score that many, but, well, I'll take it. Beggars can't be choosers. Interesting one I just left off the bottom. Oh, Gareth Bale, by the way. Gareth Bale. That's all right. He's all right. you know, he's all right. I'll take him in my team. But, you know, maybe just because I love Gareth Bale. But Dominic Cavalloon's an interesting one. He was the next. He was literally, I think, 31st on the list. And I thought I'd leave him in there because it's an interesting discussion point. I don't know how old he is. What, 20? I don't actually know how old he is. I want to say like 24-ish, 25-ish. I don't think he's young, is he? Can still improve. But with the start he's had, end to the season he had, and the start to this season he's had, he's going to have a bump, isn't he? So I'm going to be very interested when we do the FM21 version to see if this guy improves. Tammy Abraham did pretty well, considering a lot of the times he was on the subs bench, just getting on for a bit. Rashford, not that good, and a couple of real bad seasons. I had to check. These seasons where he had like 7, 4, and 6 in the league. He wasn't like a bit part player and he wasn't injured. He played a ton of the season. Maybe they're playing him on the left or whatever as an inside forward, but that's still pretty bad. Mitrovic doing his best to keep Fulham up, so that's very realistic. You know, he's their good player, isn't he, really? Bruno Fernandes doing absolute bits, absolutely superb player in real life and doing it in Football Manager. Jamie Vardy, I'd say, underperformed a little bit. He's definitely going to be playing up front, and yeah, he could have done a bit better. So let's have a quick look at the assists before we finish up. And a certain Belgian gets top with averaging almost 10 assists a season, and that's Kevin De Bruyne. That's how you pronounce it. But Bruno, which is, you know, the least surprising thing of this whole thing. But Bruno Fernandes, as well as being a good goal scorer, also just behind on 9.7. Kante is the third. He had the first season I did and got 14 assists. I'm like, fucking hell, what is going on here? The rest of the seasons he dropped down a bit. He had one other season where he got 16 assists. Yeah, N'Golo Kante, whether I know he's kind of an all-rounder, a box-to-boxer, but I sort of see him as a defensive midfielder, but he just gets a ton of assists. Bernardo Silva's there. A certain Frenchman who doesn't get to play football anymore, still doing bits. Which it's unsurprising. In the game, he's very good. He's going to get massively downgraded, obviously. He's not French, is he? He's German. I knew when I said Frenchman, I was like, something's not right there. Something is not right there. But, and I know he's going to get downgraded, I'm assuming. But let's face it, if he moved to a different club and did well, I don't think anybody would be that surprised. He's just got this weird relationship at this point with Arsenal. But I think if he went to somebody else and was like, had a really good season, nobody would be that surprised. Harry Kane doing well on the assists, just like real life. Donny van der Beek, new signing for Man United. Got Firmino and Ward-Prowse, obviously great for Southampton. He's good at set pieces, so that always helps. James Rodriguez doing bits for Everton. Thomas Partey, another surprising entrant, doing pretty well. But players like Son Heung-min, yeah, underperform. They should be getting more assists. Same as Raheem Sterling. I expected more from those two. But yeah, no surprises that Kevin De Bruyne's quite good at football. I don't think he scored. He didn't get on a list at all for goals, not in our top 30. He popped up a couple of times, but he was nowhere near. Probably got 40 or 450. Quite surprising. But yeah, as I said, league table-wise, unsurprising mostly. But I think what's going to be interesting here is going to FM21 and then with the updated scouting on all the players. There'll be lots of players that are unchanged. Probably like 80% of them will be unchanged. But some of the older players are going to get worse. Some of the younger players are going to get a lot better. That could help Arsenal. They've obviously got a good batch of young players and stuff like that. But it's going to be really interesting to see, so I'll combine the two. But let me know if you did pause it and were looking closely, you had your own guess. Let me know if you were anywhere near what Football Manager suggested. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. It's just a fun video. Bit of data input required, but it was quite fun to do. You know, cheering on the Liverpool players and then realising in game, apparently Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold just don't get very many assists. So it's a little bit sad. But there we go. If you are new to my content, please do consider subscribing. We've got big plans for Football Manager. We've got some mini saves and stuff going up until FM21 comes out, and then we are working closely with a real life non-league football team in England, and as well as managing them in the game, we're going to be doing a big fundraiser for them in real life and stuff to sort of help them get on and stuff, because it's, you know, difficult times at the moment. Normally it's difficult times for non-league and lower league teams, but especially with this whole COVID stuff, it makes it extra difficult. So we're going to raise a bit of cash for them as well. So I hope you'll join me for that series. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.